Okay, so we're going to talk about rotations. Rotations are another type of rigid motion. It's a type of a translation. A transformation. I'm sorry. It's a transformation that is a type of rigid motion, just like a translation is a rigid motion. Now, if you remember, translation was a slide. So you can take a shape, a figure, or a point, whatever it is you want to use. So it you slide it one way or the other, straight up, straight down, right, left, or you can do a combination. You can go to the right, then down, and that would give you the same thing as going diagonal from that same location. A rotation is a little bit different. A rotation is a spin. Okay, you can spin something around a point, and that point can be in any location. So it can be on the figure itself, so we spin like this, or it can be around another point that's not part of the object. So for instance, it could spin around like this. Now this is harder to show, so let me use this high tech. This is very high tech. You guys will be impressed. So we'll make a little shape here. It's a backward Z. If we look at it like this way, at this, I guess it'll be going the right direction. So here's a Z. Doesn't matter whether it's which way it's facing. Now we're going to rotate this one around a point. We could rotate it around this point. And if we do that, it looks like this. Now the rotations we're going to consider today will be rotating, we're going to rotate everything around the origin. So that's where the two axes intersect. So depending on where that object is, that will determine how it looks. So for instance, if we put it on the origin, it spins like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at different rotations. So when you rotate something, there are two things that go into determining how it rotates. The angle of rotation, or maybe three, I guess. You identify the point. Now all of the rotations we're going to be doing are around the origin. And they will be either 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 270, or 360. And they will either be clockwise or counterclockwise. So those are the three things you need to identify in a rotation. The point around which you are rotating it, the direction of rotation, and the degree. So the direction here and the degree of rotation. So the angles come from a circle. So this is half a circle. But if you go all the way around, that's 360 degrees, right? So that's the angle of rotation. So angle 70 degrees, right? So if we're going to rotate something 70 degrees, that's where it would rotate to. These in increments of 90 degrees, 90, 180, 270, and 360, these will be easier. And this is what we'll be working with today. So we're gonna start off, and we're gonna come up with the rules that you can use to rotate something clockwise and counterclockwise. But in order to get these, all we're gonna do is just look at some actual rotations and look for a pattern of some sort. The way I'm going to do this, very high tech, I'm going to spin, okay? And I'm going to spin it around the origin. I'm going to use this as a guide. So if I spin it like this, then this point right here will have gone 90 degrees. Not only that point, but all points. So I'm going to start off by marking this point right here. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a line segment. I'm going to draw that same line segment right here. And so this will give you another way of of seeing what that rotation looks like, and you can see when it's 90 degrees. So remember, 90-degree angle is a square angle, right? So I'm gonna rotate this. If I rotate it this way, like that, that's 90 degrees, and you can see that these two line segments, they form a square angle. So there's your 90-degree angle right there. So this has been rotated 90 degrees. We can do that the other direction as well. Oops. So this. So all we're doing is we're taking this right here and we're going to move it until it goes up to the next one. And when it does that, we'll have our 90 degrees. Okay. Now notice again, 90 degrees, but this time it's the other direction. Now, how do we determine the directions, the names? Well, we've got two different names. There's clockwise and counterclockwise. Counter means against. So against clockwise, that's this. Clockwise is going around to the right, just the way a clock does. So the hands of a clock move around to the right. Counterclockwise is the opposite direction. So the two directions. So what we'll do, we're going to look at the rotations and see what we get. And I want you to pay attention to and look for patterns. For this first one, we're going to rotate it. We're going to do clockwise first, and then we're going to do counterclockwise, and we're going to compare, see how they're the same and how they're different. Okay, there's going to be two different things that I want you to notice. Okay, so that's 90 degrees. So now we're looking for the new point. So it was at 2, 5, right? 2, 5 right here, over 2, up 5, 2, 5, that's our x coordinate. And that's our y coordinate. So that's what I have written right here. We're going to start the same location, same spot for both clockwise and counterclockwise. Now the new point is right here, 5, -2. So let's go ahead and plot that point. So that's A. A prime will be the image. So that's going to be 5, -2. Let's go ahead and write that down right here. So we want 5, -2. Now we're going to rotate again. So we're going to rotate this around the origin, 90 degrees. And when we do that, we get something that looks like this. 1 and 2, down 5. So now we have a point right here. And this will be the image of this one. So we're going to call this one a double prime. Okay, we could call it something else, but it's the image of this, so we'll call it a double prime. And that's going to be -2 and -5. Okay, so now we're going to rotate again. So we're going to rotate that, and so we're going to move this arrow till it's facing that direction. And there we go, right about there. So now the point is -5, +2. And we'll call that point a triple prime. Okay, so it changed from the y value changed from a negative to a positive, and that's the last one. Now each one, notice, so if we go around this way, that's 270 degrees, right? You'll notice that this is a 90-degree angle here, but this is 270. It went 90, 90, 90. 3 90s is 270. So the first 90, we got this one, 5, -2. Second 90, we got, which is 180, we got -2, -5. The 270, we got -5, +2, And then finally, the last one, we go like that, and we get back to where we started. Okay, so 300, that's 360 degrees all the way around, and we're back to 2, 5. Okay, so I want you to look for patterns. Do you see anything? Okay, so 2, 5, 5, -2, -2, -5, -5, +2, 2, 5. We'll get back to this in a little bit, but it might help to see one of the patterns if you just ignore the signs. So look for that. Look for that. Now we're going to do counterclockwise. So we'll do the exact same thing. And we're going to go the opposite way. Remember, clockwise is to the right. Counterclockwise goes around to the left, spins to the left. So now, we're going to start at the same location, but this time we go counterclockwise, 90 degrees for our first one. And it's right about there. And notice, what do you notice? That point is on the same point we started off as before. It went 2, 5. Now it's, oops, didn't need to write on that one. Okay, so it went 5, -5, 2, right? -5, 2. And you probably guess what's coming next when you keep rotating, another 90. So 90 plus 90 will make 180. Notice the straight line, 180 degrees, right? So we went around this way, 180 degrees counterclockwise. And what's the point? -2, -5. Okay, we're going to go again, rotating, and there it is. So we have 5, -2. And then finally, one last spin. Puts it right back to the beginning, and it's 2, 5. So, like I said, we're going to look for patterns. For me, when I look at this, the first thing that I see is we've got 2, 5. I'm going to ignore the sign. So we're going to just look at the absolute value. So that's 5, and that's the absolute value of -2 is 2. So I'm just going to say 2, 5, 5, 2, 2, 5, 5, 2, 2, 5. Okay? And over here, 2, 5, 5, 2, 2, 5, 5, 2, 2, 5. Okay? So I'm thinking to myself, what if we had something like maybe 3, 2? Okay? If we rotate it 90 degrees, if we start with 3, 2, what about this? I'm looking at the sign, at the numbers, and they're alternating, they're flipping back and forth, right? So I'm thinking to myself, it's probably going to be 2, 3, 2, 3. The only other thing that's going to be harder to figure out is going to be these negative signs, okay? You have to look for a pattern to see how they fit in, because 5, -2, -5, 2, okay, the signs are in the different spot there. These two are exactly the same. These two, well, they're opposite of each other, and then they're back to the same. So let's see if we can figure out what's going on with the signs. So this is what I'm going to look at. Now notice we start off with 2, and each time, so we're switching these numbers, right? So I'm going to take this one first, 2. I'm going to look at just the x's. What happens to the x's when they go to the other side? Okay, so this went from 2 to -2, 5 to -5, negative 5 changed to a positive 5, right? Now what's negative 5 times negative 1? It's positive 5, isn't it? Okay, so on this one, I'm thinking to myself, that's going to change from a 3 to a negative 3. Now, what about these signs? So if we go from 5 to 5, that didn't change. Negative 2 to negative 2, it didn't change. Negative 5. See, so when we're going clockwise, this one doesn't change. So we're going to switch the numbers, and we're going to change this sign right here. Whatever it was here, it gets changed. So 2 to negative 2, 5 to negative 5, negative 5 to positive 5. The next one, if we went again, this would be a negative 2, and that would be a positive 5. Now on this side, if we look at the x's, 2, 2, negative 5, negative 5. Notice this time, this value, your x value, is going to move over to the y column, but it's not going to change. What about the y's? 5, it changed, didn't it? 2, it changed. Negative 5 became positive 5, right? It changed. So this one right here changed. So if we're gonna do this here, we're gonna switch the numbers 5 and 2, and then which one changed? This is the one that changed, right? So this one's going to change right here. Okay? So I hope you see that rule. Now the way you can write that rule, the way we can represent that rule is for a clockwise rotation, of 90 degrees, if we start off with x and y, it's going to change to y negative x. So we're going to switch this right here. We're going to take the first coordinate, we're going to flip them around and make that into a negative. Okay? Then the second one, notice here, we're going to switch it back and back, right? So we'll do all of these clockwise. I won't write that yet. So clockwise of 180. So that would be going from this one to this one to this one. Okay? So it would be starting out xy, it goes to here, and then it switches again. So this will become negative x, negative y. So if we go back here, notice we started out as 2, 5. 90 was 5, negative 2, but the one we're on now is 180. So 2, 5, 2, 5, if you look at just the absolute values. But both of the signs are different. So it went from positive 2, positive 5 to negative 2, negative 5. Okay? And now the next one, rotation of 270. I said I wouldn't write it again, but clockwise 270. Now we're going to, whatever this is, it's going to switch to the opposite, right? So it'll be y and x. And remember, the one that changed was this one as it moves over. So this is going to go from negative to a positive. and then this will stay negative. Okay? So this is what these are going to look like. 90, 180, 270. Counterclockwise, 90 degrees, 180, 270. Okay, so 90 degrees counterclockwise is going to switch just like this, Y and X. But what will change, remember on counterclockwise, it was going this way. Okay, so it went from 2, 5 to negative 5, 2. So this time the one that changed was this. So we went this way, and it'll be negative y x. If it's 180 degrees, you do that change twice, and it'll be back to x, y, both of them negative. Notice 180 is the same. It doesn't matter which way you go. It's the same for both of them. 270, it'll switch again, y and x. And if you'll notice, actually the letters will be in the same exact order. The only difference is going to be where the signs are. So y is positive here, x is negative. Here's the opposite. And so it'll be the opposite here as well. So these are the rules that you can use when you are rotating. So let's say, for instance, we want to rotate a point, and we'll use a negative. We'll start off with one that has a negative value in it. So negative 3, 5. We're going to rotate that one 90 degrees clockwise. So 90 degrees clockwise is xy, rotate, and it goes to y comma negative x. So we're going to start off with this. So it's negative 3, 5. Now we're going to put it in this order. We're going to switch it. So it's going to be the 5 and negative 3, but then we need to change the sign on this one. See, so whatever it started at, we change it. So it'll be 5, 3. Let's say we rotate 7, negative 2, and we're going to do this one 270 degrees. Counterclockwise. Okay, so this one, again, same thing. We're going to look at this rule right here. .270 counterclockwise is the rule we'll use. And we're starting at 7, negative 2. So x is our 7, and y is our negative 2. So now, instead of y here, we're going to put negative 2. So x goes here, 7, but we need a negative of whatever this is. So we put the negative in front, and that's your point. So negative 2, negative 7 would be your answer.